Hi everyone and welcome back to the show. Today's topic is one that could be seen a little bit controversial, as it's a topic that I feel is frowned upon a lot in Western cultures. Now it could be a Western culture bias, or it could be maybe it is more of an individual thing. But from my experience, from my perspective, this topic today that we're going to dive into with our very special guest is one that is frowned upon, and that is the topic, that is the practice of hypnotherapy and hypnosis. In this episode, we dive into what are we actually talking about when we say hypnotherapy and hypnosis, the origins of this practice, and how it can be used for deep healing and helping you to become the best version of yourself. So if that's something that you want to learn about, and if that's something you're curious in, then stay tuned for this episode of Raising Consciousness. Let's dive into my conversation today with Joanna. Joanna, thank you for joining me today on Raising Consciousness. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm looking forward to today's episode, focusing on hypnosis, hypnotherapy, that part of your work. I know there's a lot of different aspects to what you do, to your work. So let's start by exploring that and kind of sharing your work and who you are and what you do. And I always like to ask, why do you do what you do? So if we start there, and then we'll dive into the main part of our conversation today.
Right, yeah, so I am a hypnotherapist, a medium, and a quantum channeler, and I'll kind of explain that one as well. And I got into hypnotherapy about 5 years ago or so. In 2020, basically, right before 2020, I came across this woman. Her name is Alba Weinman, and I was watching her YouTube videos, and I was very fascinated of this new thing, with hypnotherapy. I've done meditations, I've done so many modalities, on healing and just, clarity, just anything that kind of heals the body, clears the mind, anything, for soul evolution, as you want to call it. And so she had a seminar that she was doing, and I attended the seminar, and I was just blown away. Even though it was just a group session, it was not one-on-one, I still got the impact. So I'm thinking after the session, going, wow, if this works on a group setting, imagine how powerful it is just one-on-one. And I felt the effects, meaning I went into my current life, what was blocking me, even past lives and different things that really blew my mind. So fast forward, within that time, I got certified in 2020, and I started doing my, modality, my business and mind healing guide. And, I took just a little break because I gave birth to my daughter, and I got back to my business about a year and a half ago, last year, and started, and just right before then. And the impact it made on clients, just on me starting again, is just so profound. Every single client that I had some kind of positive impact, and I love hearing their stories. And I'm so passionate about what I do is because my belief is it's one of the most powerful healing modalities because it goes straight into the subconscious, and that's where everything is stored. Everything, all your thoughts are stored deep within you that you don't even talk about. We don't even talk about. And once we unravel that and heal those aspects, you have, everything you really want in life. You get to live the life you really truly want once you kind of release some aspects that are not serving you and step into something that is. So that's the hypnotherapy part. And now that the mediumship, I just kind of mentioned just one thing about mediumship. So I've been a medium most of my life, right? Meaning I see spirits since I was very little, and I combine them both. So when I have a client and I have a spirit next to me or a pet, I say to the client, would you like to speak with them in your session or have them in your session? Because I can give him the message, which I've done. I can give the client the message, which I've done in details. But I would really want the client to experience what I see, what I feel, because I think that's where we are, and I think the evolution of humanity. That's my belief.
Amazing. And so I was actually going to ask, what was you doing before you discovered hypnosis and hypnotherapy? But I think you kind of answered it there. So that's good. And obviously now combining the two, which is I'm sure a powerful experience for the people you work with. In terms of hypnosis, like, We're going to dive into this. But the first question I have is, what is hypnosis, right? So, like, what are we talking about here? Just so, like, we all get, everyone kind of gets on the same page. Yeah, what is it? What is hypnosis?
So, hypnosis, let's just start with just a kind of where it started. So, hypnosis basically is just a very deep state of relaxation. That's all it is. That goes when you go into a deep state of relaxation. If you want to think of it as a meditation, but it goes beyond the layers of just meditation. Meditation only kind of can go to the theta state and all the way into the delta. But in hypnosis, you get to the delta or the deeper states much quicker. It's like expedited, and where it really started from, I mean, not just 100 years ago, where it was a magic show. People know it to be a magic show, but it really dates back thousands of years, really, honestly. So they used to use it as they called it sleep temples, and all throughout the generations in ancient times, really, all different eras, and they give it a different name, but they did it where it's a hypnotic state. I mean, they just put you in a light sleep where you're conscious and you're aware what's happening to you, but you're also like in like in a dream. So it's like the sandwich in between of conscious and unconscious. But you hear everything. You are you are present. So if that kind of like explains.
Yeah, no, sure, definitely. And kind of answers my next question as well in terms of like where does it originate from? And you
I am quite
mentioned that,
psychic.
yeah, exactly right. But I guess like you did mention that in terms of like back through ancient times, different cultures used it, but they called it different names. So, off the top of your head, like, have you like researched this? And in terms of like, what are some of the other names that they called entering this state, and kind of and in what part of the world, like, did they call it like different things? I guess I'm kind of interested in that part.
Sure. So I'm not sure what names they call in different civilizations because what I've researched, because I was curious myself, I was like, like where's hypnosis? And I was researching myself, and then I looked at other videos. Now each civilization has their own versions of it. The one that I kind of we'll discuss now, and other ones is like, they kind of ancient civilizations from ancient Egypt to Sumeria to all the different ones because you can't even go back past that because they don't have the text on the only hieroglyphics, and it's just assumptions. So kind of have to kind of date back to some kind of writing, right? They used sleep temples where they went in caves basically, and they had people just kind of in caves where they created an echo effect. So when they do a chanting and rhythmic chanting and rhythmic beats, it gets you in a hypnotic state. It's kind of like when you go to church, in a sense. You're kind of being hypnotized when you go to church, really. And they even use it in marketing and all this other stuff. You're being hypnotized all the time, actually. And this chanting and this repetitive uh, um, um, uh, noises and sounds and words puts you in a sleep state where you hear everything, but you kind of get into a sleep state. So um, from that, and then when you fast forward to the magic shows, now this is where it kind of separates, because the magic shows, now that's what people know about it for, is the magic, and this is very misinterpreted, because now we have to do more clarity on that, right? The magic shows, we didn't really know in the 100 years back, what it really, hypnosis, how powerful it really was. And, just dated back 100 years. And now we're understanding, oh, wow, hypnosis, it is so powerful because it goes straight into the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind controls everything that you do. This is your creation. Your mind is your creation. Now, in the magic shows, they I would say there's people always have the free will in whether they're going to choose to do an act or not. And maybe there's a fear in that where maybe these people forced to do this, they had no free will or something like that. No, in a hypnotic state, you have your conscious awareness of whether you want to accept an act or not. I know because I've been there. I've been one of the, my professor, when I was doing my studies, being a hypnotherapist, he did that to me. And I was very open to it, and I did what he said, but there were students in my class who didn't. Then that's the thing. Are you receptive and being open to the hypnotherapy or not? And that's how some hypnosis works for people, some doesn't. Because number one is my clients have to be open for the session. I will never reach out to somebody else. They will reach out to me because that's right there, being open to it. So I wonder if I even started answering your next question because part psychic.
One thing that I did want to kind of touch on there, and you kind of alluded to there, I think with like the magic shows, is that people's perception of hypnosis, right? I think in culture there is probably more of a negative association. I'm wondering if that comes from maybe what we've been taught about hypnosis, what we've seen maybe on different TV programs, films, movies, etc., etc. And so I would love to understand more from kind of your perspective on why you think that people's perceptions on hypnosis is typically, I think, at least from kind of the culture kind of I've kind of been brought up in, I guess, that it's dangerous or can be used for bad. And like, if is that actually true?
Oh, that's a great question, Labit. So now, hypnosis is very has been misconstrued for a very long time, and let's get to the nitty-gritty. And I'm going to talk about some things where, basically, like in society, right? There's it's used in marketing. Now, hypnosis is not discussed, but it's used in marketing all the time, and it fascinates me because I'm looking around. It's used in churches, it's used in religion, it's used in marketing, and yet it's said that it's dangerous and all this stuff. So when you think about it, if used in marketing and hypnosis and in churches, now is it dangerous? No, it's not dangerous at all. And let me explain as to why. Because the mind is always in control. And let me just give you examples as to how that even is. Now, when I was studying to be hypnotherapist, like I mentioned before, I was very my professor used me as his the guide, as that, because I was very open. So he noticed I was going into the hypnotic state very easily. And there was students in my class who were not. And it shows that he even did, that we attended actually. And he looks out in the crowd and he sees who's getting into the hypnotic state, into following his instructions. And I followed instructions very well, and I was open. Two components. I followed directions and I was open to it. And so I got into the state quickly. Other students in my class did not. Really, very light or nothing at all, really, honestly. And when you see these shows, you see and you look around the crowd, he picks the ones that are into it, and he knows. And he'll pick the ones, ask them to go like in front, and they're more likely, more susceptible to be open to the suggestions. That's all that it is. All it is just suggestions that are kind of placed upon you, and you have every right to accept it or deny it. So when you see these things like on YouTube or something, where you see like somebody, like it says 3, 2, 1, snaps his fingers, he goes into a trance and asks him for his money. I mean, this is really misconstrued, right? I mean, it's really getting out there, and the person gives the money. That's an act. They did not show the person of how they acted prior to this recording, because to be under hypnotic state, you have to be induced, meaning you have to be, like I said, open, and you have to follow directions in a sense, at least like follow my voice and what I'm telling you, and also to know that you're always in control of your mind. You know, like going back to now answering the question of why, so that's not dangerous. And why is it misconstrued? And it's not that I'm sorry, like it's a fault thing. It's society, and it's the certain people out in public who do not want you to know how powerful it really is. Because to me, hypnosis is the most powerful healing modality I've ever come across, and I absolutely am so passionate about it. I absolutely love it because, like I said, every single client that I had some positive, impactful change in their life. And so now we really need to talk about why it's misconstrued out in the public. And as I mentioned, it really needs to be discussed more. And hopefully that answered some of the things that you had asked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious into if we like dive a little bit deeper into that, in terms of like where do you think the negative connotation, like, do you have insights on like where it started from, or do you have insights on, because you said like certain people don't want us to know kind of that it's powerful effect, but it's like what why like where did that even start? Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
gonna
know what
get
I
to
mean?
the a little controversial thing. So let me just mention a few things. It's gonna get a little controversial, right? And it's absolutely, and everybody has the right
Go
to
for it.
make up their mind and choose and however they want to disagree or agree with me. Just to put a disclaimer, right? Now, let's do a few components. One is religion. There's certain entities out in the world that have been using this for a very long time. Now, this hypnotic state, like one, let's get into the media. The media and religion. Let's just stick with those main two. There's many other ones, but those are the major players in this thing. One is religion and been used for thousands of years, because when you go to any kind of temple, church, religion, they've been using this hypnotic state of just kind of doing the repetitions, repeating the chanting. It's kind of brainwashing you to believe, to keep coming back, in the religious sense. And God bless whatever religion you believe in. I don't say any negative things about them. I'm just saying what they implement and use the hypnotic state for it, really. And the second one is the media. Now, the media knows that marketing, it's used in all of marketing, really. In a sense of, like, let's talk about like marketing songs. It gets stuck in your head. It's the jingles. Even for me, like I get a catchy song stuck in my head, and it's like repetitive in my head. And then you think about the artist, the song. They know all of this psychology stuff, the jingles, the repetition, the rhythms, the all that stuff. In movies, especially when they do impactful scenes, where the thing is, impactful moments get embedded into our subconscious. So when I do sessions for clients, I don't say traumatic. Never use the word traumatic. I say impactful, because we transmute it. So when you have an impactful moment, let's say from a movie, from they play on emotions too. Impactful from a scene of a movie or anything, you name it, right? From media, it goes into your subconscious and you remember, even though you actually don't think you remember, it goes inside. So, and that's why some people who are horror movies, and they have a fear or something, or something actually beautiful, it gets stuck into our minds, and we believe it so strongly because it impacted us in some kind of level. Like our lives, we have an impactful moments in our lives that got trapped inside, because that's what it is. And now, is it serving us or not serving us? That's the point of it. So let's filter through that and just kind of, understand if it's serving us. Hopefully, maybe that got into a little bit better, but I had to go there. I had to go there.
No, sure. You mentioned beforehand in terms of like when people maybe across the internet go on to YouTube and see um, creators, or kind of people who have YouTube channels kind of on this stuff, and they do the auto suggestion 1, 2, 3, click their fingers and somebody gives them money, etc. So, and you said that was an act. So that isn't hypnosis, and do you think that plays into people's perception of what hypnosis is?
Exactly. So let me just kind of just explain just the part right before that. Exactly. And there's so many things out that I've seen are so far-fetched or so out there, and people are kind of like are confused what's truth and what's not real. So when you have to be induced, you have to have some kind of, and it's called, hypnotic induction, where somebody puts you in a hypnotic state. But like I said, one, you have to be open to it. And the second one, you just have to follow instructions. That's really it. And you could even do like self-hypnosis really for yourself, but it works different when you're guided, because being guided, it gets to impactful moments, clearing it. That's something else. But now, this misconception is, people have to understand that when you're induced in a state, and you're induced a second and a third and a fourth and so on time, you're able to get induced quicker. So when I have a client, I can induce them within a minute. But if I don't have a client, I need that maybe 5 to 10 minutes to actually bring them to the state of deep relaxation, as deep as I try to get them. But if I have a repeating client, I can get them much quicker. So when, in terms of talking about that video, if somebody has done that video and you see them maybe on stage, and you see them like doing an act and repeating and another act repeating, and you see the person getting into it quicker, is because that's how it works. The mind remembers. The mind remembers a voice. And when my professor was using me in his class, because I was like the easiest person to get into, because I'm also a medium and I channel that, I like the more we got into it during the session of the class. I mean, this is like 9 to 5 class, right? I got into it like literally 5 seconds, like, because after a while, within a few minutes, like a few seconds, he snapped his fingers and I was there. So yes, it is possible to get somebody in that state, but again, they have to show that they induce them to get them to that state. Do you know what I mean? It has to be done come over a series of
Mm.
times. So that's important to know. And no, and the second most important thing that people have to remember, vital, is you will not do anything against your will. Never. When I really never. You only do it if you allow it. And trust me, I've been there and I've been to shows before I became a hypnotherapist. I was curious. I was part of my professors, schooling. And that's the most important thing to remember is, again, you will not do anything against your will. Even in your hypnosis session, you will not go into an impactful moment if you don't want to.
And that's why it's really, really important to be open, I'm guessing. Like if you want to actually heal something, maybe a traumatic event or something, but you're not open to the possibility of healing from that or revisiting it to heal from that, then you're just not going to go there. So that's why it's important to be open to it, I guess.
Exactly. And yeah, and I'll just add to that really quickly. Yes, like I'll give you an example. I had a client who was really open to my session, and I said, if we go to an event that you didn't mention you don't want to go into because we have a goal. We have like 3 goals we go into, right? Sometimes the soul doesn't go to that place that we actually kind of place them in. And I always make sure during the session, always throughout the session, I make sure they're safe, protected, and they're comfortable. I would never put anybody in a situation they don't want to be, and that's how I worked, and the way it should be. So a client said to me that they're maybe not comfortable in going there, and I said absolutely fine. So we're gonna leave this scene and we're gonna go to another scene. That's all it is. It's a movie. So I want to just kind of just add that to that. So absolutely right. And we got to that scene and another session I did for a client.
What's its positives? Like what are the positives and how does hypnosis help people?
The positives are unlimited. I know it sounds so broad, but really, hypnosis, it is the most powerful modality that I've ever come across in my whole entire life. And trust me, I dived into, well, I died too, right? And came back, but dived into all these modalities, and it could heal. I mean, on the surface things of what people know, would it to be quitting smoking, habits, all the things people know about it. But it's much deeper than that. I focus on deep healing in my sessions. People have to understand if they come to me saying, I want to quit smoking, oh, cool. Sure. But that means that smoking is related to something that happened to your life. It could be from a peer pressure. It could be from experience. It could because mom and dad smoked. It's from somewhere. And you say you want to quit, but that reason why you're holding on to that cigarette still is coming from an event in your life that is holding you on to it. Because if you people who have a healthy habit can have like let's say a smoke or a drink and just not have it at all. They're not dependent on it. So when the habit becomes dependent on it, then that's not healthy. And that's when you go, oh, it's not healthy. But if it's something you're not dependent on and create something better, then from everything, and let me just go into other elements from career. Let's say somebody's looking for more clarity on what to do with their lives. From what kind of career should I be in? Am I in the right career? Am I in the right relationship? Is this my person? I guide the soul into answering any question you could imagine. Also, with my mediumship, we even dive, if they want to connecting or reconnecting to their souls who transitioned because they didn't die; they're right here, really, or animals or pets. So we go there as well if they would like that. So it's very unique that I do, but as I said, it's really unlimited. Also in physical ailments in real time, all the way to like example, I had a client who, had sciatica, and in real time, we cleared the emotion, cleared the event, and released it, and it was gone. Like she didn't have it since then. And other ailments, like you name it, burning in the chest, headaches, all across the board. I mean, it really is unlimited.
It's interesting you say that. So I done a post a little while back, I think, around let me record it. So it's basically like around pain, kind of discomfort, etc., and how when we don't clear emotional issues and just issues and challenges in our lives, actually sometimes, and most of the time actually, it kind of reappears kind of in the body. So that could be like the sciatica back pain or something. And it's interesting how you in your practice use hypnosis to kind of clear those things because I think a lot of times we don't realize or underestimate maybe basically that, right? That how our emotional issues that can appear in the body as different elements and discomfort and pain, etc. So, do you have any like thoughts or yeah, kind of insights on that?
Yeah, sure, exactly. Like, so the thing is like, I kind of just want to add into the fact that we're just a touch on it. I know we're energetic beings. Now, emotions are energy, thoughts are energy. Now, your thoughts are energy that go into your body. Now, I know it's going to be another controversial thing, but I'm just going to say it because it's true. Now, each organ has its own vibration and emotion, and each emotion has its own vibration and emotion. There was a test, I think I'm going to say his name wrong, Yamoti, where he actually did emotions and he did it in water, and it created either distortions or a perfection, perfect, shapes and stuff. I don't know if you heard about him. You can find him on YouTube, and that's where it goes. Distorted emotions go into the body as well as the not distorted ones go into the body. So they go into the organs, are they gonna enhance that part or are they gonna make it worse? Of course, when they make it better, you're not gonna complain, you know? So that emotion gets trapped in a certain part of the body. I'll give you an example. Heartache goes in the heart. The bones and the structure, like the sciatica, the spine. The spine is your foundation of life. Do you feel secure? Do you feel that you have a foundation in your life? That goes into your spine and your bones, and including the cartilage, actually, and stuff. And every single element of the body, and it's actually tied into ancient research. If you actually, after this conversation, if you're curious, go really look up on YouTube with different things if they have it. If not, I'll put up the video. I'll make one referring to ancient science and ancient scriptures that they have, discussing how the organs and the emotions correlate. You know, and when that emotion gets trapped in the body and it's not released, like you said, it's released and it can come back. It's just an emotion, it can come back. When it's not released, that can turn into diseases. This is the thing. And we could literally live hundreds of years, you know, like I'm super healthy because I release my emotions. You know, like I just have like allergies, you know, but that's another thing that I'm probably dealing with. But that's the thing. Once we release the emotions, then really, and that's why people who even like think about it, people who even smoke and drink and they live like over 100 years. I look at them, but wait a minute, you smoke, you eat horrible and do all this stuff, but you're over 100? And they look like, what is your secret? You ever heard that? What is your secret? The secret is they don't trap their emotions in their body. That's what people should be asking them.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was just trying to think of. I think there's a couple of books that I haven't actually read, but I got recommended to me a few times, or kind of on this topic. I think one is by Gabor Mate. I think maybe When the Body Says No or something. I'll link that down in the show notes for people. And I think there's another one that's going to annoy me because I can't think of it right now. But if it comes to me throughout our conversation, I'll mention it. You mentioned beforehand in terms of self hypnosis and how it's different to, let's just say, if I was in a session with you, and it's different to being guided. So, it might be a bit of a dumb question, but how is it different? Like, how does it change the hypnosis kind of process to going into that state, I guess? And yeah, are there benefits from self hypnosis that you don't get from a guided session, vice versa? Because I'm thinking that a lot of people might like that might be more accessible to people right now if they like learn how to do that, if they want to get the benefits, if that makes sense. So yeah, let's talk self hypnosis.
Sure. So, number one, no question is a stupid question, by the way. Every question is valid and it's wonderful, and I very much look forward to answering. That's number one. You are a brilliant person, and I love talking to you. That's number one. And number two is exactly what you said. Like some hypnosis is not accessible to people. So, let me tell you the difference, and also, how they can kind of do themselves, and how I can do it for them. So, this is the difference. Now, self-hypnosis is very effective too, but this is the difference is like when I do a session for somebody, I guide the soul because there's events in your life that when you get to these events and you just like let's say lay there or wherever you're sitting or laying down, you don't know how to maneuver through it. You just see it and go, okay, well, what do I do now? Even somebody's telling you, okay, now go to this event, talk to this person and clear it and do this. In real time it's different. In real time, everything is different, isn't it? Right? So when in real time I'm able to say to this person, okay, do this and do that, and what happened? How did this happen? And because it's an event, you kind of have to kind of maneuver through it, like driving a car or something. Because when you lay there and you listen to Hypnosis, you're just there and you're seeing it, and you can release emotions, you can release and process it, but it's not the same. Because when somebody guides you and then they go, okay, now let's get to the releasing of the understanding the, I work with understanding the event. Let's understand the event, why it happened, who's there, what can you learn from it, what's, and how to go about it. And I go all these, I ask the soul. I just ask the soul, really, and they answer themselves. This is beautiful. I don't do anything. I'm just a guide, and you answer for me of what your soul already knows. And then we maneuver through healing your body, because when I guide you, you tell me, and then we have to guide, like it's driving a car, flying an airplane. I have to guide you to that spot, to that area, seeing what's going on, and then releasing it. And that's why that one is effective. And the guided hypnosis, it does help, and it is effective, but not as profound. I can't even give you a percentage. And this is even what a client said, because I do testimonial videos, actually testimonials as well, whenever I get a chance. And I have this on my website, actually. I'm just updating my website now. And one of the clients actually mentioned that about, because I just asked her questions. How did it go? How'd you feel? And she said that to me, actually. So people understand that's the difference. So also on my website, I will add guided hypnosis where it's just my recorded voice. People who maybe can't, dish out, a few hundred or whatever for the session. Once they do the guided and they see, wow, this actually did something for me. This is pretty cool. Just like you said, the guided, self-guided hypnosis. And they go, wow, but I wonder how a real life session would be. And that's it. First step, the baby steps, right, is try a guided hypnosis. And I'm going to have one posted on my website if you'd like to try, 1/5 the price of my sessions. And it is, like I said, it is effective, but it's the difference of how impactful and how much you could really make the difference.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So in terms of whether it's, well, let's kind of look at both. So guided session hypnosis and self-hypnosis. I'm wondering if, so yeah, let's continue with self-hypnosis. So if somebody was to practice this on their, obviously on their own, maybe at home, etc., is there like a best time to do it, right? So like, is there, yeah, and is that similar within like a guided session if someone was to come to you? I'm wondering because I'm kind of making some links in terms of what you said, that it's you go much deeper than meditation, but obviously people have a lot of meditation practices, like they might do it first thing in the morning or before bed or something. So I'm wondering if hypnosis might work the same, or it's completely different and there's no best times to do it, right?
Yeah, that is a great question. I haven't had that question yet asked me, and I did tons of podcasts, so thank you. I'm excited to answer it. So the so okay, two parts, because actually it's two parts. Let's talk about the guided, right? The guided one, I do recommend you do it right first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Why? And I'll tell you why. Guided. This is guided, not in the one-on-one sessions. Guided hypnosis. Now, when you wake up, you're still in a semi-sleep state. So the brain is still in a semi-theta state where you are like still a sponge. So when you wake up, you be careful with what you do. I would say be careful. I'm like, don't get in a fight with anybody. Don't get angry. Really keep it at peace or something light. Because right before bed, when you get sleepy, you're in theta state where you record everything. And that goes deeper into your mind and your soul. So and that's why the people do it first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and I do recommend that. But you could still do it during the day. It might be just a little smidge less effective, unless when I say less effective, it's only because you're already kind of halfway there, right? You're already halfway into your sleepy state, and when you go into more hypnotic, you're even deeper. And the second one now is self-hypnosis, self-hypnosis, meaning me, one-on-one sessions with a guided hypnotherapist, Now, that you could do it any time of the day. I mean, literally, I had clients I have clients all the way in the, like Australia to the UK to America to Africa, all over the world. And I've done it late at night because that's just, I love what I do, and I'm open to all sessions and hours. So when you do a session one-on-one, you get into a deep state through the guided meditation, like expedited. There's no need to do any preliminary things or anything to do with that. Because the difference with hypnosis is you get to that meditative state, deep hypnotic, throughout in the guided experience. So that is done at any time of the day. And yeah, that's really interesting you asked that. I love that question. And that's, yeah, that's my answer.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanna. So it sounds like kind of just to kind of confirm that if people are doing self-hypnosis or like a guided session at home, then morning, evening is best because you're already in more of a meditative state basically because you're either drifting off to sleep and so it's easier or when you wake up in the morning you're a bit like yeah, you know, you're still waking up, you're not in like
Yeah,
prime state. And so like with both, so like if we take the morning, are we kind of saying if people were to do this at home, self-hypnosis, to do it like within the first kind of hour, 90 minutes of the day, and maybe before bed, like an hour kind of within bed, like something like that?
exactly. I would definitely
Cool.
say even sooner within an hour, say within the first
Mm.
half an hour. It's like as
Half
soon
an
as you
hour.
get up and you have your beverage, if you have a beverage or not, or whatever the case is, really even before breakfast or anything, like you get up, do what you got to do, and get straight into it, really, honestly. Or as soon as you wake up and just pop it in. And I really say within the half an hour. And like when you have a system of going to sleep, usually your body naturally, it's a cycle. It's they call it, like when your body is used to going, waking up at a certain time, going to sleep at a certain time, your body actually remembers. It's like a machine, so your body's a machine. And, let's say you go to sleep 10 o'clock every single night. So if you start actually just kind of simmering down, like it's at 9:45 p.m., your body will naturally drift off into sleep and, go into that state. So I recommend having consistency and even doing the like they even do the 21 days where you listen to subliminal messages and different things or to kind of get into. I even recommend that if that's one of the things you're mentioning. I do that myself and I love it. I do for like being a genius and all this other stuff. I love it and it works. It is effective. But also remember you have to be open. I would say I recommend that you be open and just listen and follow directions of what they're saying to really get as deep as you can.
And for one-on-one sessions, like yeah, there isn't a best time of day because you've got a guide, you kind of go into that state much quicker rather than if you were at home, people might not necessarily know what they're doing, and so it just takes that little bit longer to kind of to get into that state. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime I had clients like in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning for them, whatever time for me, and they don't have to even be sleepy. They think, how do I prepare for hypnosis or the guided? You don't. I mean, just use the toilets.
Mm.
But in my session, I had clients who use the toilet. I got them out of hypnosis, and it's like a sleepwalk. They get to the toilet, sleepwalk, and come back. Hopefully, wash their hands, and they actually go even deeper. There's no preparation for hypnosis other than just being open and receptive and maybe use the facilities. Maybe have a snack if you want before then.
Cool. Is there any science that backs hypnosis up and the powerful effects it can have on people, whether that's from healing from like emotional traumas in their lives, or if it's from, yeah, any kind of stats or science that you have that can back it up, especially for those that those that are maybe not convinced yet. So throw some stats at them and maybe it convinced
Yeah,
them.
of
But
course.
yeah, I'm always fascinated to like cover both kind of aspects of the ancient wisdom that I feel like we've covered, but also if there is any science that kind of backs up what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so I think the most known one, I'm going to just stick with the one that I think was more known to others so they can kind of absorb what I'm saying is that, when we're children, maybe you've heard that from, I can't think of his name, I'm so sorry right now, but a few people out there that were well known that when we're children, we're in theta state. So basically from birth to about age 7, about 6, 7, we're in theta state. Now, theta state is a brain wave and it's right before the delta, the deepest, right? And it's a brain wave of we're recording everything. Basically, that's why they say children are like sponges. We record everything in our environment. Imagine that, right? And this is fact. This has been talked about. So when you go into the theta state records everything, takes in everything into the subconscious mind. Now, when you take everything into the subconscious mind, and that this has been talked about, is that all those impactful moments that you have, impactful, like I said, they go into the body and then they affect everything that you do, everything that you do in your life. Every single thing in your life is affected by the things of the past. So the things you say, the things you do, and even recognize this in your day. You can stop yourself, you can recognize this. going, what is this triggering? Like, what is this triggering from my past? Really. And if you actually sit down with it and go, I'm doing this strange thing or whatever, it's not serving me, it's not healthy. And where is it kind of stemming back from my past? And I'm sure if you do this like experiment, the mini experiment that we're doing, and you sit back going, oh, wow, it's because mom and dad used to do this, or dad, or parents, or school, or whatever, it gets traced back to something. Really. And, it's being scientifically proven that basically, all these things that we have fed into our soul impacted on such a deep level. And if it's not cleared, it'll continue all the way until your departure from this life. And, and also the one I did mention about the MMOT or MOT, or I'm saying his name wrong, that's also scientific, that our emotions that we have are distorted or not because they're frequency. All emotions are frequency. We're energy. This is fact. Energy does not die, it just transmutes. So, what energy do you want to give to life? What energy do you want to give to your soul, yourself? And each emotion, like MMOT did the emotions, all the higher vibration emotions, you can go to Google this, right? And watch the video that he has. The higher frequency emotions are in perfect formations. And the ones that are negative frequency are distorted, absolutely distorted. And that actually goes into your body, into your genetics, and distorts your in genetics, in a sense, if you want to think about it, the way your body feels. I mean, simplest forms, right? Or if you want to go to the scientific forms, it distorts your harmony in your body, the rhythmic patterns in your body, the harmony in your body. If you want to go that path and kind of, so which path you want, you can travel into the scientific or if the more the spiritual, So hopefully they kind of gave a little bit more substance to that.
We've mentioned states throughout our conversation, theta, etc. For those that are probably, or for those that could be sitting, listening, watching to this and be like, states, like what are states? Can we walk through states and maybe like what they're associated, like what each state is associated with?
Sure. So, we have about, I think it was at five. I would really say six, but the five commonly ones, no, I think there's way more than that, but it's just the one that they discuss really from the gamma all the way to the delta, and I can go through them and explain all of them, but let's just go from the gamma and then instead of explaining all of them, and then I'll go straight into the delta and the theta and the delta. Gamma is where you're in a state of, it's the fight or flight, the top one, the fight or flight ones, basically where you do things almost unconsciously, out of fear. We do things out of fear, out of not being present, not being grounded. It's the fear state, that's the top one. And then when you go down to the levels, then you have your other levels, which is more of the conscious one, day-to-day activities that we do, the different levels. Then the theta one is the one right before the day-to-day activities, which is the conscious reality. The theta is the conscious reality that goes into the unconscious. And so that's why I want to discuss that more than the other ones, because you have all the other layers, which I honestly think is way more than that. And I actually want to delve into that with a scientist actually I've been discussing to do the research for. So the theta is the conscious and unconscious, right? So when you're conscious of your reality, right, it's a brainwave where your brain is aware of what's happening in your mind, and you're doing things almost like out of habit, basically out of habit, or just because it's what your body kind of just is consciously aware of what to do, walking, talking, you name it, right? Doing what you have to do. And then the unconscious is where you kind of are starting to be in a dream state. So it almost becomes like an illusion, but it's not, because it's real. So that state of your dream state is where you start to kind of go into your awareness of these other realities that we have on top of us, really. And I know I'm going to just get just a touch on of these realities that are layers on top of us, the energetic one, if you want to say, right? And then the delta is the deepest state where you go into such a deep state that you're almost unconscious as this conscious reality. You're in a level of where you're almost out of body. It almost feels like death, but it's not like death where you're in pain or anything like that. It's just you're so out of your consciousness, in a sense, where you're still present. That's almost actually the when people go into a coma, that is the state, because I know, because I see spirits, I see ghosts. So I actually had a ghost spirit visit me when he was in a coma, because it was my ex-partner, his friend went in, he had a heart attack, and I saw him standing next to me. I didn't know. I said, there's a person next to you. And anyways, in conclusion is, he was a spirit. He was in his body, but he was out of his body because he didn't decide whether to stay or not. He stayed, thank God. God bless him. And he's recovering. But he was out of his body. So if that kind of explained a little bit more about the layers, so people could understand the brainwaves, the states.
Thank you for that. So yeah, so it sounds like we have at least five that are well known about, but there could be kind of more. And it starts at gamma and then kind of goes through beta, alpha, theta,
Yes.
delta. So does hypnosis go to the deepest state, delta? Like, can you get to delta in hypnosis, or is it mostly theta between the two, or does it reach delta?
You know, the thing is, it depends how open the person is. Because the thing is, you go through all different ones. It's like per client basis, per person basis. It's many elements. This one is, how open are you to the hypnosis session? How open are you, and can you follow what's being said, and kind of like, it's not embedded. I just guide the client as answering their own questions. Are they open to kind of diving into their soul? Are they open to kind of unraveling things that are blocking them? And it's actually fine if they're not. There's no judgment. And that's what it is. There's no, and their soul will be ready when they're ready. So I had clients all over. I had like a client, let's say, I'll give you a few examples, only like maybe two or three. Example one is where I had a client who, she's like, I don't even know if I can get into it. I'm here. I want it. It's great. She went in so deep. The thing is, she didn't know how deep she went when she was in the session. When you're in the session, you don't know how deep you go. You only know how deep you go when I go 3, 2, 1, and you're out. And she's like, whoa. She's like, oh, and she couldn't even speak. Like, she's like, oh my God, I need time to process. She wasn't afraid. She was just so like profoundly mind blown. Like, she couldn't even, she's like, like, I love that, by the way, like in the sessions, like that gets me so excited because that's how powerful it is. And another client, who was even distracted by we had a little bit of glitches in the conversation, but it didn't dismiss our actual like session at all. It just like a few little glitches here and there. Couldn't hear some words, repeating it, she didn't hear me properly, and that alone was actually fine. And when she got out of it, she was in it, she was thinking she's not going to get like what she needed, like meaning how deep she can get. She got out of it and she's like, wow, I thought I wasn't going to get that deep, but I got way deeper than I thought, because we had some glitches in our conversation, with the system. But she's like, I could have maybe gone even deeper. But she's like, the amount that I got was way more than I even expected. People do not realize how profound it is until they do a session, period. Once they do a session once, and they have a hypnosis session once, they go, holy cow. I did myself. Before that, I was just like, oh, this is cool, this is nice. But once they have a session of their own, it's like seeing a ghost for the first time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow, what is this? Like, that's how impactful it really is. So
What haven't we covered that people need to know about hypnosis, self-hypnosis, hypnotherapy?
what haven't we covered? For people just to understand that, to be open-minded, and to understand that everybody's in their own levels of accepting, listening, understanding, their own evolutionary stage, right? So when they hear this information, be open enough if you feel like researching and going, oh, this sounds cool. Is that true? Is that not? I look it up, and I'm sure you'll realize that what I'm saying is true. In your own way. So to get more clarity on hypnotherapy, I want people to understand that there's so much more than we're told, and this debunking all this stuff, because it's so powerful that I even, I'm part psychic, right? Kind of, and I predict that hypnotherapy is going to be it's not about the hottest trend. It's not about the most known thing. It's going to be the hottest thing since meditation. I mean, meditation is like, come on, who doesn't know meditation since like the gurus of whatever ancient times? It's going to transition where hypnotherapy onward to many, many, many generations forward is going to be the modality to use on everything. And it's going to go dive deeper into the spiritual realm of the invisible world, which I love, because that's me. So I want people to understand that they're going to hear about this more and more and more, and not to be open to it, because they're going to hear about it and they're going to understand that it's there's no fear in it. Once you get clarity, understanding on it, then you go, oh, there was no fear. There was like no nothing. That was like, illusion. So that's it. I just want to just kind of reiterate that. And, if we have time, I could do a little brief guided hypnotherapy for people. Or if we don't have time, then we could do another session, or they could listen to one of mine. They'll have one session guided for free they could listen to as well.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask in terms of if people are at home and they want to try self-hypnosis, what would be the best way for them to get started?
For the best way to get started is really to do the self-guided hypnosis. So, like, if I have time, I'll do one right now. It's just when I do a brief one now, I'll just to relax you and get to this surface, the theta state. So when you do a really brief hypnosis, you cannot get into the deeper states. You really need a good half an hour to an hour session to get deep. So if I were to do this even like 5 minutes or even just like 2 minute session, you just are going to feel relaxed, because the number one thing is get to a guided self-hypnosis session. That's number one. But if you're past that and you're open to a one-on-one session, I really recommend that. I mean, I'm both, where I've had it done on me. And I know all the other layers, and I'm doing it to people, and I still get it done on me because I love it. I still get it done from friends, and I have a friend that I book with, or one that I have for free. I do the self-guided hypnosis. I do it all. So I'm a living example of I'm one who does it for people because I get it done for myself as well, because it is powerful. So yeah, self-guided number one, or the self-hypnosis, even meditation, really. There's so many modalities. Just sitting in nature, and don't even meditate, just actually sitting in silence. Because that's meditation, right? Or even actually meditative states. What's meditative states? Music. Because when you start to get to a state of, like, I call it, there's like a name that I call it, but I can't remember the name, where you get in the zone. Get in the zone. I get in the zone by listening to music, where I almost tune out the music and I get in the zone of whatever it is, working out, get in the zone of focusing on my work. That's it, in a sense, is getting into the zone, right?
Hmm. So is there therefore different methodologies to help people get into different zones? So what I mean by that is, like, if I wanted to get into the zone for a workout, that might be different to getting into the zone to go to bed, right? If that makes sense, because obviously they're very
Yeah.
different states.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I might even come up with different things for that because it's not even out there. But if somebody gets an idea to do it, sure, do it too. But I'll do my version is basically, yes, exactly. There's different states, and it actually hasn't been created, and I'm going to create it. Watch out for that. Is where you can, the hypnotic one, where you go into deep sleep. That's the one where you go into the subconscious and healing the impactful moments and all that. And then you have the other ones where you're conscious and you can listen to a hypnotic state that will not put you to sleep, but get you into that state of focus to accelerate you on a workout, accelerate you on focus, accelerate you on whatever it is. Writing, you name it, cooking, I don't know. I'm sure it is because it's real, but I don't think it exists yet. So there you go. I'm creating one right now. Just me talking to you about it because it's real. Because when you get to that state, you don't have to go to the delta state to get that. That's a healing state, the delta. But you can get to the theta state of focus of whatever. What do you want to, like? It's like, what energy do you want to focus on? What do you want to give that energy to? And let the people create their own. Maybe you can even create your own, or your own versions of it. That'd be super cool. Focus on
Maybe so.
podcasts.
Yeah, some idea storming here. But yeah, like, so we can do 2 to 5 minute kind of practice if people want to kind of test it out. As you said, obviously we're not going to end up in Delta. We'll probably feel relaxed, etc. Maybe people need that right now if they're listening to this, and I don't know, wherever they are on their travels. Maybe they need a bit of relaxation. I think we all need a bit more of that. So yeah, like, if you're happy to do a 2 to 5 minute kind of quick practice, then we can definitely do that, and then kind of, yeah, test it out.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely recommend for people, just, before I start, to do some form of relaxation, because their mind, there's so many things we think of during the day. There's so many thoughts that are racing in our minds every single day that we need to reset. Really. And I do recommend this at any time, even after dinner, just in the evening when you get home, whatever time you have, really. Even if it's just 2 minutes, I mean, really, 2 minutes of your time or 5 minutes, whatever you got, just relax the mind. Because then it could release the stress, even if just listening to me, where I'm going to start in just less than 1 minute, just to relax your mind and listen to my voice and just to kind of breathe through. So, I'm going to start in a little bit. So I just, wherever you are, you're just going to be relaxed. I'm not going to put you in a hypnotic state. So if you're driving a vehicle, listen to me. You're absolutely fine. But when they do a hypnosis guided meditation, I do not recommend that they do it while they're driving, or like they say, using machinery, because, you have to be conscious. But in this state, you could be driving, because I'm just going to relax you and let you kind of just, release some of the stress and tension in your life. So I want you just to sit comfortably. And usually what I do is I take a deep breath in and breathe out and breathe out. And when you take the last breath in, I want you to think of all your thoughts. And I want you to just release everything, just release. And just be at peace and relax your body. Just relax and feel very light. And I want you to, in this state, not think of anything at all. Just listen to the sound of my voice. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, I want you to relax and just relax your whole entire body, from your head to your toe. And as you listen to my voice, take deep breaths in and out and release anything, any tension that you have in your body that is not serving you. And we're going to move and relax your whole body. First, let your jaw just relax. Relax and let your jaw release the tension. And I want you to now release any tension from your eyes. Release the tension and stress from your eyes and your head and your lips. Let them relax and relax. While listen to the sound of my voice. And relax deeper still, all the way to your scalp. Relax your head. Relax and let it go limp. Relax all of your face. And as we go down, I want you to relax your neck and let's release all the tension. Just release the tension from your shoulders to your arms, all the way to your fingertips. I want you to feel it melting off, releasing all the tension as it's washing away like water. And then into your chest, to let all that tension be released. I want you to feel it just melting down from your chest all the way into your legs like water, just flowing down from your head all the way into your legs, into your feet. And all that tension is being released out from your feet to the earth, to the ground. I want you to take a deep breath in and release it last time. And as you feel relaxed in this state, I want you to think of the most peaceful place in the world you could imagine. The most peaceful place. I want you to see it in your mind's eye. You can close your eyes and have your eyes open. Either way, you are in this space. I don't want you to visualize this space because you are there now. I want you to feel every sensation in this space. I want you to smell the air of this beautiful space. I want you to feel on your skin the breeze, the heat or the coolness, whatever temperature you're in. I want you to feel all the senses as if you're there. I want you to touch the ground and all around you. Feel into this peaceful state as if you're there. Take a moment. I want you to walk through the sea. I want you to feel the sea and every sensation. And as you feel the sensation, I want you to absorb this peaceful feeling down into your soul, into your mind, knowing that at any time that you feel stressed, you feel that you need a place to come to peace with, I want you just to take a deep breath, 3 breaths in and out. You can close your eyes and come back to this space and receive this peace and bliss and knowing that all is well in this state. And give gratitude that you are always in this space at any time you want to return here. And as we take a deep breath, let's take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. When I count from 3 to 1, we're going to go back to our conscious reality, and we're going to be back speaking on and listening to Joanna on this podcast. 3, 2, 1. Now we're back. We are back, opening up our eyes and taking a deep breath in and coming back to our conscious reality. And I hope that you feel much better. Now, how do you feel?
Very
How
relaxed.
do you
Thank you,
feel?
Joanna.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that.
That is
Thank you for
that is
that.
the that is the state. That's what I can do within the short amount of time that I can get. But they can get to this peaceful place. And if you even felt an ounce of that, really, even an ounce of that, right? I'm sure everybody, at least if they did this step, they felt an ounce of that. And I know I could do and kind of go into more the hypnotic and then maybe, go into that. But I want everybody to kind of get into that peaceful state because I think that's so important. This is what I do also in my sessions. I make sure the client goes into their peaceful state and always comes back to this state. That's like a specialty of mine.
Amazing. Thank you. I've enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. We've pretty much spent the last hour or so discussing hypnosis, where it originates from. We actually started with what we're talking about here, so we got on the same page, where it originates from, people's perceptions, all the way through to brainwaves, and obviously just ended there with a very relaxing meditation type practice that I thought I was relaxed beforehand, done kind of my normal routine today, but definitely coming out of that 10 times more relaxed. So thank you so much for that. I would love for you to share where can people learn more about your work, connect with you. If they enjoyed this episode, if they, got a lot of value from this, where can they find you to learn more about your work and what you do?
Sure. So they could find me on on Mind Healing Guide. At this moment, I'm having the website kind of updated, so there might be a little, pages that are like doubled. But Mind Healing Guide is where they could find me. They could book a session. I also have a book coming out called Enlighten Up: Confessions of a Quantum Channeler, as well as oracle cards. These oracle cards are also being published, and they just kind of are very beautifully done. I actually made them myself. I infused my energy into it. You can ask yourself a question, and I have a spread, actually, like an interactive spread where you can ask yourself a question, and it actually will ask a question to ask yourself. The cards are guided to ask you, when you ask a question, I'll ask you a question on top, almost like reverse psychology, to get to the answer that you're seeking. If they're curious about that, please log in. I have that spread. They could also purchase the cards themselves. Social media, I'm updating it. So I have 2 pages of Mind Healing Guide for for the social media and more of my talks, as well as, my quantum ones that I do called Confessions of a Quantum Channeler. That's another page that I have. So there's 2. That's more the paranormal, psychic stuff.
Excellent. Joanna, thank you so much. Really enjoyed today's episode. A lot of insight and value in there on obviously the topic of hypnosis. And I think, and I hope, or I hope that people will be more open to it because it's, that openness seems like a really key point. And I would encourage people to kind of be open, not just for this, but just in life in general. I found like when I'm my most open self, then I'm usually my most best self as well. So I think that trait that of being open is very important and definitely important when it comes to hypnosis. So thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you. Beautifully said too, by the way. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for listening and tuning in to this episode of Raising Consciousness. I hope you learned a lot about the power that hypnosis can have to heal and transform your life. I'm definitely inspired by this episode and the conversation we had today, and I'm looking forward to integrating this practice more into my life. Now, one way that I'm planning to do this is through Soma breath. You might have mentioned Soma breath in past episodes. I think episode 34, but I will link it in the description below anyway. I'm joined by the founder of Soma Breath as we discuss meditation and all things breathwork. Now, why I'm mentioning Soma Breath? Because Soma Breath merges meditation, breathwork, and the topic that we've been speaking about today in hypnosis with music technology in a transformative practice to help you to heal deeply. So I would highly recommend checking out Soma Breath if you want to combine all of these different methodologies into one powerful practice to help you to heal and change your life for the better. Thank you again for tuning into this episode of the podcast, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.